Failed my driving test again. Parents aren't pleased at all. Um, Basically what it is what I do is I'm a bit cocky, and my first move is always wind down the window, arm on the thing to look as cool as possible, then I reversed and I immediately hit a bollard, which of course means that you fail the test, and then you have to do it anyway, even though you failed, you have to keep doing it. So a bit gutting. But it was fine because later that evening I got invited to a party. There were some super cool people. Basically, it's my sister's boyfriend. They've just got engaged, and so it's a sort of Halloween party, but also like an engagement announcement thing. And honoured to be being invited. The theme was bikers, so I thought I'd nailed my costume. I got these spandex, like cycling shorts, and a yellow Tour de France top, and a bike helmet, and a little bell. I planned this thing. I was going to rock up and knock on the door, and then when they opened it, I was going to go ding ding, and as I did that, I was going to go rings a bell. But this happened, and they opened the door, and it turns out they're all in sort of like cool motorbike clothing, like black leather and everything. I felt like an absolute chump. So obviously immediately went to the toilet and rang my mum, and blamed her. It wasn't her fault, but I was furious with myself. And that's what I do when I'm furious. I lash out. But anyway, it's fine. I just pretended it was like a play on words. It was like a deliberate sort of joke. Some people kind of fell for it, I think, which was good of them. Very kind of them to have done so. But it was a weird party. They're all a bit wet, and I didn't really know anyone or get on with anyone. I tried my best to sort of fit in, and there's a moment outside where these two lads were smoking, and I looked at them and I was like, I think, we'll get on. I'll work on them for a bit. But it was an impenetrable conversation. I couldn't get a word in, and I was just on the edge, sort of just listening for any sort of hook I could latch onto. And I think the guy mentioned at one point that he was from just a small town. This was the expression he used. So I sort of stuck my head in and went, "Just a small town girl living in a lonely world." But I lost confidence halfway through, and just took a midnight train going anyway, and then just apologised and sucked my beer. And they laughed, but it was a polite laughter. I could tell, they thought it was a bit weird, and I started to then try and dig myself out of it, but they were like, "Oh, we've got to go back in." So I was just left on my own, and confined to hang out with the children in the garden, which is gutting. But basically, what it was quite fun actually, because there was a trampoline, and they were all jumping on this trampoline, and I sort of got up on it, and obviously I was way better than them, and I did a flip, sort of flip. It wasn't like a full flip, but it was they were massively impressed, and this was the ego boost I needed, to be frank. So I was going really high and everything, and then unfortunately I landed on the bit between the metal and the outer rim, and quite badly crushed my gonads. And swore quite loudly as well, and got in a bit of trouble for that, for swearing in front of the children. I was like, what sort of party is this? For heaven's sake, children and no swearing. No one will talk to me. I'm glad I travelled 40 miles for this. No, anyway. Went back in, and I decided that the kids were probably quite a good way to get in with the adults, because particularly women, they like that. If they can see a man talking to a girl, talking to a child, they're like, yeah, he's good, and then they kind of hook you up with their friends. Usually they're ugly friends, they're single ugly friends, but it's worth doing it anyway. And so we all went in. This kid, Toby, he's called. He's about 6, and I'd sort of been hanging out with him, and I kind of assumed we were mates at this point. And I said, "What would your daddy say if he knew you were still up, eh?" Because I knew he was there with just his mum, and his dad wasn't there. And he said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, you don't want me to be your daddy, do you, and tell you that it's late?" And he said, "I do." And I said, "You do?" And he said, "Yeah, I've never known my daddy." Which, honestly, first of all, is incredibly sad. I didn't know what to do other than well up. But also, created an incredibly awkward sort of tension within the group, and I didn't know what to do, as I say, so I sort of bent down to sort of hug him, but at this point his mum came and dragged him off and gave me all this, emotional garbage. And then, her and all her friends went out and sort of bitched about me, I imagine. So it wasn't going great at all. I had to go back to the toilet and cry a little bit. because you know it was incredibly sad, and but then eventually it was fine because a couple of my sister's boyfriend's workmates turned up and they'd been out to the pub and they were pretty fun. Nothing like the rest of them, honestly. It was instantly they came over to me actually, which was the great thing, because they found my costume hilarious. They're like, "That's so funny, you idiot! That's so funny." And then they were like pinging my spandex like this, and it was really nice to sort of be in a group and finally so I started to enjoy myself, and then the music was on, and it was like sick like Rihanna, and we were all proper dancing and everything, and we exchanged numbers, and I think I'm going to be going paintballing with them next weekend. Actually, fingers crossed. Anyway, the evening drew to a close, and my sister's boyfriend did this sort of wet, kind of typically wet speech where he thanked us all for being here, and it's so great to share this time with his dearest and closest or whatever. And we were heckling from the back, just going, "Shave your eyebrows, someone pull his pants down," because that's what you do when someone gets married, But of course there were older people there and all this stuff, so it was probably inappropriate, and no one really laughed. And then there was an opportunity for us to say something about how much the couple meant to us. And I got up and I went, I believe it was Newton who once said, "You're the one that I want, you are the one I want." And then, that was a gap for everyone to go, "Hoo, hoo, hoo," but they didn't do it, so I had to do it. And they didn't even get the joke, and so I explained, that was Olivia Newton-John and not Isaac Newton-John. But marriage, like gravity, is about attraction, is what I said. And then just as I was about to get into this really nice bit of the speech, Toby, my nemesis, the 6-year-old nemesis, decides to stand up, and he points at my sister's fiancée and my sister and said, "Hey, you're marrying a girl." And I don't even know why this is funny, but it was in uproar. So not only was it rude, but it wasn't, as I say, it wasn't funny. So I wasn't particularly impressed, and sat back down. The lads consoled me, and that was it really. I then ended up staying over. About 4 of us sleeping in the lounge. I'd been on the phone to my mum outside, and then brushed my teeth and had a shower and everything. And so by the time I'd come in, everyone else was asleep and it was dark. But I had my airbed that I brought with me, which is this sick little thing because it's proper comfy. But unfortunately, it's quite noisy when you basically, it's electronics. You plug it in, and then there's this button. And it goes. It sounds like a Bowman Hoover. And so at first I was like this, and then I just thought, look, this is going to take too long. The whole house, honestly, whoa, just from upstairs, I had this, and then all this lot was, what are you doing? You're so inconsiderate. And then 2 of them left, and the other 2 had their pillow over their head and everything, and I was just there, just in the middle, just. And then after about 3 minutes, I realised that I hadn't plugged the other end in, so I was just blowing air in, and it was just coming out. Absolutely typical.